So Scott, this week we got The Outer Worlds. Alright Scott, so this week we got to check out The Outer Worlds, new single-player RPG game from Obsidian Games. What did you think about this one?
This one's a big game. This is a large AAA kind of style game that we saw at E3, kind of snuck up on us though at that time, and then it's already out, and also a little added bonus, Game Pass Day 1 drop.
Yeah, actually, yeah, kind of a surprise title to see in there, but Game Pass has been doing a pretty good job of adding some of these newer titles in. Obviously available on PS4 and PC as well, and I heard a Switch port coming in 2020, so actually, as far as since I've played this game, it would be a crazy game to play on the Switch, but we're going to get into this one first before we start talking about where we can play it.
Yeah.
Honestly, this isn't my style of game, and I think everybody here knows that, but there's a reason I'm playing this game, and it's for me to kind of gauge, you know, what is it going to take for me to get hooked onto a game like this? Because I'm not a single player RPG kind of guy. It's not that I dislike the games, but there's just so many games out there, and I'm a quick session gamer. Like, I like to jump in and play for maybe half hour, an hour. That's all the time I got, and then I'm out. But jumping into this one, there's a little bit of character creation at the beginning, which I thought was pretty good. It's not expansive or anything, but it's solid for what you need it to do.
There's enough there to make your own kind of character.
Exactly, and just kind of the story and the dialogue so far is what's hooking me in this one.
Yeah, so if you're not the kind of RPG player that I am, and that you're used to these games, this game has quite a humor about it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of its standout feature. So even just into the way the story is written. So you're in Halcyon, this is the Outer Worlds, it's a new colony, and you're part of this group of humans living out there. Now, the humor comes with the companies that are running this colony. That is the first things you kind of come to find, is that there's a difference among the people in these different colonies.
You basically get to build your own story, and it's funny because all of us here have actually stepped in and played a little bit of this game, and we've all already had our own kind of different stories, and that's what makes this game shine, I think, is that there's so many different routes that anybody can take. I mean, you could be really rude and lie to everybody and be mean to them and shoot them and kill them, just like Drew did.
Yeah.
Or you be like me, where I'm just trying to persuade people to see if they'll do something for me, you know what I mean? So that you can play at two pretty extremes in this game. This is a huge game for them to be dropping.
Yes, and the quality and their touch on the game is definitely there. You see all these dialogue options. You can be rude, you can lie, you can straight out. It's all based on your stats. So there's a lot of these classical RPG elements that Obsidian is known for, and they've stamped that into it, whether you see it right away or not. There's a lot of different ways to customize your play. We mentioned stealth. Now, you can crouch and you kind of just have that normal stealth interaction, but it's kind of hard to judge there. That's not where the stealth kind of really shows itself. There's a hologram device that you get very early on in the game, and you can use it to, once you acquire the right card, you can wear that disguise, that uniform. So that lets you get behind enemy lines, and you can interact with people that you normally wouldn't be able to talk to, or you can just sneak in and out, and it kind of functions as like a nice little stealth section of the
it's not like its own little game, but it's, again, like you said, it's sectioned off. Like, I may never play like that and never experience the game in that manner, but the fact that there's a path that allows somebody that maybe plays a game in a more stealth manner to go along and play the same adventure that I'm going on, like, it's just, that's what's blowing me away about this game, is that, you know, again, it was kind of it snuck up on us a little bit. The media isn't hyping this game up huge. It has definitely been out there, and we're looking forward to this one coming out because there's lots of single player RPG fans out there. There's lots of Fallout fans out there. And let me tell you, I think maybe some of them might start migrating over to this one because it just seems so polished. Like, there isn't, I haven't run into too many issues personally, and I haven't heard about people running into too many issues while playing this game thus far.
No, there is a few bugs, and there's some that are definitely known. There's one issue where you can interact with characters to talk to them, and it's X, the X buttons on Xbox. You hold that X button to put your gun away, and you press it to pull it out. So a lot of the time you end up, hey, Cory, what mission would you like me to do for you? And that's kind of just a weird little bug. There's another bug where you can't drop your last weapon. You can't fully unequip. So there's some of these issues like that, but they're very kind of minor technical things that don't really get in the way of the game. Nobody's bothered by my gun waving in the middle of a conversation or anything like that. But what they have nailed is all the slight, very small details with all these RPG aspects. If you want to be the liar, or if you want to have the right physical attributes, say to move something in a dialogue,
Yep.
you have to have the skills behind it. And the way you kind of level your character up is you get all these XP predominantly from completing missions.
Yeah.
And you can, every 2 levels you choose a perk. That makes your guy very unique. And every level you get points to put into.
Yeah, to kind of it's not a skill tree, it's more of a skill list.
Yeah.
Really, where you're going to upgrade a section of skills. There might be 3 skills underneath. Your conversationalist. Where you've got you might lie. Persuade, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Intimidation, those things. Now those, as you progress further on down the game, you get to a higher level and you can individually pick one of those skills to buff that up. So you kind of just put these points and grow very quickly at the start, which helps you kind of get out there and fight all these different creatures if you're going to do a combat role. And then eventually you get to fine-tune your character into being the exact kind of manipulator or whatever.
Yeah, well, exactly. And that's the nice thing, right, is that they make you dump all these points heavy into it, and it kind of gives you the general idea of the direction you want to head with your character, and then it breaks open to allow you to just do that much more to customize the to your play style. And again, I'm just thinking about it, it's just, Xbox players are going to get this game on Game Pass, and this is, in my mind, this is a full price game.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And anybody that's into this genre is gonna love it. But again, as somebody that's not into this, when you first jump in and just the experience I'm having so far with the game, it is keeping me hooked, and I want to keep coming back, and I'm playing sessions longer than I'm normally playing. And there's aspects of this game I'm really enjoying. Again, I'm not even a big dialogue guy. Like, I don't like reading a ton of dialogue, but again, there's this kind of satirical humor there, and it's great. It keeps me engaged, and the only thing I really have to knock about this that I've noticed thus far is the gunplay isn't as good as I'd like it to be.
Yeah.
We have a lot of different weapons out there, really cool weapons. The weapons in this game are actually really great. I like the idea and the direction they head with a lot of them.
Well, and they simplified it down to certain ammo types. I feel like that was a good move on their
part. Didn't overcomplicate it.
Because they totally stripped all that down, and you get to actually, have a good time picking up all the junk instead of just being a junk hoarder.
Yeah, and it kind of lets you, you're not just picking up, you don't have just a backpack full of different kinds of ammo and a couple different guns.
Things you'll never use.
Exactly.
It's all very necessary.
It's more than manageable, especially in the inventory system. So we might as well touch on that since we are talking about it. It's not an expansive inventory system by any stretch, but it is, the UI for it I found was very intuitive. I found it very easy to move around. I knew what I needed to equip, what I needed for it. So for me, I actually thought that was a pretty easy one to understand, because some RPG games that's not the case.
Yeah, well, and there's different items that are sorted by class, and you can sort them within those however you want, value, weight, that kind of thing. And then you can mark them by junk and then sell them at a vending machine all at once.
Yeah.
So it's kind of taking these little, maybe borrowed aspects from other kind of RPG looter shooters like Borderlands or something like that, where you could just mark junk, get rid of all this stuff, and not be bogged down in that inventory. Because, like you said, this isn't necessarily your kind of game.
No.
But it's kind of an interesting mix of all these different things that kind of make it its own thing. The gunplay is a little slowed down. It's not a Call of Duty kind of shooter.
No, goodness, no.
The melee is also very spaced out, where at least it's there, and I'm happy it's there. And you can do one-handed or two-handed, so it does get into kind of different skills. But it's a little bit basic. So there's not so many moves, there's not as much of a combat clashing system. You kind of just get a charge attack and that's it.
Yeah.
But there's other aspects to this game.
It's not just about the combat in this game.
It's not about the combat. It's a little bit more about the exploration, but even in that, the different areas and the different locations are kind of just different crazy color palettes of each other.
Yes.
There's nothing that's super standout. It's just kind of your grab bag mix of sci-fi colors and planets, but I found that it all looks really good. And
it all put together really well. The audio is fantastic, and again, when you're traveling from place to place, planet to planet, like you said, it is just the same color palette, and we're moving along, and things are different, but there's no major changes.
Yeah.
But again, you don't notice that. I mean, we're being picky here because I think we talk this game up quite a bit, so we got to talk about some of the bad things, right?
Yeah.
And again, this one doesn't have many at this point. It's something we got to point out, right? And for us, it wasn't a make or break aspect.
No, there's enough depth to this game that you can work around those, even if they are somewhat generic.
Yeah, so if we got to work around some numbers here, what are you going to score this one, Scott?
So this one is kind of hard for me to put a definitive number on it, just because it's such a
You've been struggling
crazy
with this.
game. Yeah, I'm torn on this one because it's almost a perfect mark for me. It's exactly the kind of game that I wanted to see from Obsidian, from a Fallout fan perspective, from just a normal adventure shooter kind of player.
Yeah.
This game hits all the right marks for me, and it only suffers from just slight bugs and a little bit of genericism. But really, that doesn't knock the score a whole lot. I'm gonna have to give this one a 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. All right, you know what? I'm close, but I'm not quite there. Again, not a fan of this genre generally, but I jumped into this one and I'm really enjoying my time with it. I'm going to continue to play through it, finish this one off completely because it is a lot of fun. It's difficult. I didn't really touch on that as much. I'm struggling in this. I'm having a tough time, but I am still enjoying it. So that's enough for me to keep coming back. I'm giving this one a solid 8. The Outer Worlds is a fresh take on the classic single-player RPG genre. With vibrant environments and a great variety of weapons and enemies, non-RPG fans and RPG fans alike will love this one. You gotta be sure to check this one out.
Subscribe to never miss a video, and help us by hitting that like button.